So we're doing an outer tie rod end. You need to heat up these nuts on the tie rod end. Has that plastic locking stuff inside the nut. And I tried taking the other side off, and man, it just binds up. You got to put some heat on it. You melt it, and it'll spin right off. It's 21 millimeter. We went to take the tie rod off last night. We're just going to crack this jam nut loose, and this is a 21 millimeter as well. And we need to put a vice grip on here to stop this, so I can, once I crack this loose, I just want to loosen this up so that on my wheel alignment part, I'll be able to adjust the tie rod, because this will crack loose from here, but this nut is frozen on this threaded shaft here. So we have to put a little heat on this and crack this loose. And you can see the stuff melting right there. That's all we're trying to do, is just get that stuff off there, melt it out of there. Now we can hold the tie rod end up with a little pressure on it with the bar. Yeah, see, it ain't coming. So we're gonna have to grab it with vice grips. Actually, I'm gonna heat it a little more and see what happens. We're gonna have to grab the ball down here with some vice grips. Okay, now I don't want to take this off completely yet. Just gonna thread the nut on there a little bit. And we're gonna crack this 21 millimeter loose. Right here. And these can be pretty tight. I'm trying to pull up on these. And we just want to crack this loose a little bit. Okay, but now this is rusted onto this. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab those vice grips again, and we're going to clamp onto this tie rod here. And we're going to be going this way with it. I'm just going to use the axle to stop my... So now I'm going to heat this nut up, because this is the position that my tie rod is in. So here's my thread adjustment here. So if I just unthread the tie rod now and I thread it back on here, my adjustment should be very close when we do set the toe on this, but if it's off, I won't be able to move this. So I want to heat this nut up right now and run this nut back so that the threads are loose on. I'll put some never-sees on it, and then I'm going to run it back down so it's snug against this. This is the 21 millimeter. Okay, so let me heat this up. We'll get all our heating with the torch done first. Put this away. So now it's cracking loose. And all I want to do is back this thing off. And because I have the vice grips holding this, I'm not changing my adjustment at all. I'm holding the inner tie rod end from moving. And I'm just going to back this thing off like a few turns, just so I can get some never-sees in the gap here. And then I'll tighten it back down. And when I go to set my toe, do my alignment on the truck, if I have to adjust this, it's not going to be frozen. It's going to move easily, you know, because I may, to go and center my steering wheel, I may have to, you know, move one side, you know, half a turn out and one side a half a turn in to get the wheel straight. So I'm not going to have to go more than that. So I'm going to put some never-sees in here right now, and then I'm going to tighten this back up, and then I can disconnect my tie rod and take my tie rod off. And I'm going the other way, so I'm just going to hold my vice grips. And this thing should move easily. And it does.
Yeah, it frees up quite a bit.
So when I go to do my alignment, I'm not going to be fighting with this thing. You know, I've already fought it right now, and this is the easiest position to get it. So now I'm going to tighten the nut back down, just so it touches the tie rod over here. Okay, so it's touching the tie rod. Now, so I'm going to take the new tie rod and just thread it right onto this rod till it bottoms out with that. And I should be very, very close to my actual toe set up on this thing. Okay, so this nut is probably still pretty hot.
You don't want to be grabbing that right now.
No. Okay, now I can just untwist my tie rod. And it's going to bottom out when it hits here. And I should be super close to my adjustment. We went with all Moog parts. We have a new tie rod in with the new grease fitting. So I'm going to take some never-sees, and we're going to put some on the rest of these threads here. And we'll go over and get our new tie rod. We'll put the grease fitting in it, and then we're going to thread it on. All right, so we got our new tie rod. We threaded our 7mm Allen on, just thread it in, tighten it up snug, okay? And we're going to thread this on now until it bottoms out. And you know, if you don't have a tow bar, you know, if you do this in your driveway, you can do this, and then head it down to you know, head right back down to your wheel alignment shop, and you know, you can get this taken care of. I'm about a half a turn off, and so I'm gonna go out with it here, and I'm gonna be comfortable with that. So I will just take the vice grips and snug this up, and I'll know after I put the tow bar on it, you know, which way you gotta go. So back this off, just a whisker. I mean, we'll snug this one up, just a whisker here. Okay, so this is a 21, and this one here, the ball's gonna spin, so we can hold a 10 millimeter on this one and tighten this one. We're gonna try and pry up underneath it and see if it has enough pressure to hold it down, and we'll find out shortly if that's the case. If this spins, then we'll put the 10 millimeter on it and go from there. All right, we're able to get that one in there. So at this point, we're gonna grease everything right now, and we're gonna do our wheel alignment. Tony can send you to another link that we use for setting the toe, if you wanna do that, or you can, you know, bring it to your alignment shop. But by adjusting this thing close to where we started, your toe is gonna be like 95% where it should be. There may be a slight tweak, but you're gonna be close enough to drive the car and not have to worry about it. So once we grease this, we put the wheel on, we're all set.
The other side's done the exact same way.
Yep.
Should always do the stuff in pairs.
Yep.